Hi, I'm Stuart. Welcome to my YouTube channel, or welcome back. Thanks for viewing my video. In this video, I'm going to do the spoiler book tag. I was tagged in videos by Pat at Book Chat with Pat 8668 and Nicole at Nicole's Bookish Nook, so thank you both for tagging me. I'm just going to repeat what they said to properly credit the creator of this tag. This is an original tag that was created at least 3 years ago by Scott at Gunpowder Fiction Plots. This tag has 9 questions. Question 1 is, what do you consider a spoiler? To me, a spoiler is something that gives away an important plot point that would not otherwise be obvious to you. Just something that you prefer not to know until you got to it. Something that it kind of upsets you that you know it ahead of time. Second question is, does the genre you're reading impact what you consider to be a spoiler? It does, really. The worst spoiler that I can think of is probably in a mystery novel. If somebody spoiled who the responsible person is. So you might not read it if you knew that, because it takes the suspense out of it. That's the worst one I can think of. And also, not a particular genre, but revealing the twist at the end of a multi-book series, that would also be upsetting. So, that would really take away from the end of the novel. Spoilers in romance novels probably wouldn't be too upsetting, because as much as I like them, many of them are somewhat predictable. And there's certain tropes, and it's not really a spoiler to say a book is enemies to lovers or fake dating or anything like that, because you learn that early in the book, and often that might be on the back of the book. And most of us don't consider that a spoiler when we're reviewing it, because you learn it early. The number 3 question is, all the best bits are in the trailer. Sometimes a synopsis can be too detailed. Do you research books prior to reading them, or do you prefer knowing nothing about the books? When I go to a bookstore, the cover pulls me in, but I read the synopsis before buying the book. And the same is true when I go to online bookstores. I look at the synopsis before deciding to buy the book. And sometimes I also look at the reviews on the online bookstore before deciding to buy the book. At this time, and probably really for the rest of my life, BookTube is my biggest source of book suggestions. I keep a spreadsheet with the book and the booktuber who suggested it. In that case, when I put it on the spreadsheet, the booktuber has said enough that it causes me to be interested in the book. But oftentimes, by the time that I purchase the book, if I do, I don't really remember exactly the details most of the time. So in that case, I just know that somebody I respect suggested it, and I just remember enough to take them from my memory. When I see it, I buy it. So in that case, I don't necessarily remember much. Just that the booktuber put the idea of the book in my head. The 4th question is, sometimes the introduction or translator's notes can spoil the ending, especially for classics. Has this ever happened to you? Yes, actually. I, not too long ago, read A Farewell to Arms by Ernest Hemingway. In the introduction, which was done by one of his, not necessarily a descendant, might have been a nephew, but a later Hemingway, and he revealed a really important thing that happened close to the end of the book. And I found that pretty upsetting, because you shouldn't assume that somebody is familiar with a classic. I was personally reading it for the first time. I had no familiarity with it. And I don't think that they should do that. When I've spoke about this on here, other people have told me they've encountered the same, and shouldn't really read introductions in classics, because that's not uncommon that they do that. This was the example where I was most upset by a spoiler, and partly because what was revealed, but partly just the fact that it just didn't seem like the right thing to do to reveal it. There's always a first time for reading a book or becoming familiar with it, and that was mine. The sixth question is, have you ever spoiled a novel for somebody else? Possibly, but no one ever said I did. When I do my reviews on YouTube and in Storygraph, I really try, I go overboard to not, I really try not to reveal any spoilers. I sometimes think I err maybe too much on the other side, too much on the side of caution. But I really don't want to give anything away. Occasionally, something occurs in a book which I feel I really have to warn people about, because it could be triggering. In that case, I'm going to say a spoiler. I will put text at the bottom of the screen that says spoiler when it starts, and I will remove the text that says it's a spoiler when I'm done, so that people can choose not to view it. But it's just in a situation where I strongly think that I have to mention it, and I can't do it without a spoiler, but people really need to be aware that this might be a disturbing part of the book for them. The seventh question is, if spoilers ruin novels, are there some authors or genres you can't reread? Apart from mysteries, spoilers wouldn't ruin novels for me. I don't reread much, so it's not really, that part of it really isn't a concern with me, the fact that I know from reading the book. I'm not sure I would reread a mystery anymore, although I have considered rereading Murder on the Orient Express. Besides mysteries, despite what I've said previously, talking about spoilers in this tag, spoilers don't really generally ruin books for me. An example of this is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I watched videos where people gave spoilers. Generally, they said they're going to be spoilers, which is the right way to do it. When I read it, there was two men and a woman, and it's kind of a triangle, and I knew who would end up together. So, and that didn't ruin it for me. So, although I think people should try to refrain from spoilers, I can't think of a time they ruined it for me. Even the Hemingway book, A Farewell to Arms, I was more upset that somebody did that, revealed a spoiler, than the fact that I knew something. I just don't think that people should do that. The eighth prompt is, when reviewing, are you spoiler free? Does this limit your ability to discuss? As I said in question 6, I really try to be spoiler free. It does sometimes limit my ability because there's some stuff that I like to reveal, which I can't in my effort to avoid spoilers. But I do try to err on the side of caution. Question 9 is, shout out, tell us about 5 channels you enjoy and tag them. First, I tag anyone watching this video. If you'd like to do this, please do so. Then I'm going to tag a bunch of people in the description of this video. If you'd like to do this, please do so. I hope you're having a wonderful reading week. I hope you're having a wonderful week in general. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Please subscribe. Please hit the bell to get notified when I upload future videos.